Awesome.
All right. So Matthew is a sacred sexuality guide. He is a shamanic somatic healer. He's a transformational life coach. He's also a content creator. He makes incredible videos. If you see him, if you've ever went to his Instagram at the Healing Mat, and he also facilitates men's retreats and a lot of men's work. So today, now we're going to switch over into the masculine side of things. We're going to do a deep dive into masculinity, sacred sexuality for men, understanding the vibrational frequency of your soul. And specifically in this workshop, Matt is going to help us, and he's going to support you in understanding how to cultivate your masculinity, whether you're a man or a woman. We all have masculine energy, and identify where on the spectrum that we fit in our masculine feminine energies. And then at the end, yes, is there anything else that you want to add? You talked about releasing anger, frustration, rage, especially around the times that we're feeling. I'll go ahead and pass it off to you to explain the rest.
Yeah, can you guys see me okay? Is the lighting? Ooh, that is a hot light. That's actually perfect because this will tie in just a moment to how I'm going to start, which has to do with electricity and being electrocuted. So my invitation before we get started is, I know Andrea's beautiful workshop, there was a level of discretion and like maintaining your energetic space and doing breath work. I love to see people. I love to see all of the humans that are here. And right now I see a few videos and a lot of black slates with names. So since this is what we get now with how we engage in the world, you know, we can't sit in sacred circle. We can't sit around a fire. We can't gather at a festival and have these workshops. My invitation, as I see many of the black slates turning to human faces, is that we come into the sacredness of the space that we've been given, that we've been granted right now, to really recognize the opportunity that we have right now. You know, we are such a beautiful collection and culmination of humans from all over the world. And I would love to see if you guys can just type in city and country. Like, let's see where everybody's coming from right now, because I love Atlanta, Mumbai. Yeah, here we go. Austin, Oklahoma, Atlanta. A lot of people from Atlanta right now. DC, Barbados, Israel, Toronto, Houston, Utah, Indiana, St. Petersburg, Winnipeg, Canada in the house. Yes, yes, I love it. And this is such a beautiful representation of the world right now. This is what we get to do. There are so many people that are in their isolation or their lockup, as they're calling it. Their quarantine, their lockdown, they're like shrinking. And this is such a beautiful opportunity for us to come together as a band of light, as a tribe of light, as a tribe of individuals that are here to sit in sacred circle, to talk about what the fuck is going on in the planet right now. Like, honestly, there's so much going on and it's confusing as all hell, and that's okay. All of it is welcome. And I love that you guys are coming on. I'm going to shoot through still a lot of black slates, but that's okay. A couple that I know too, so I'm going to call you out later. But that's okay. That's okay. There's no judgment. You can be exactly how you want. If you're naked lying in your backyard, like I probably would be listening to this, I probably wouldn't be on video either. So, okay. I feel fired up. I feel so good. And the ironic thing of all of this that I love so much, Andrea was holding the feminine, but held it with a framework and a lens of a structure. Like when we were talking about this, Kimber, we're naked. Sorry, Matthew. It's okay. Do not ever apologize for being naked and being your radically self-expressed self, especially if you know me and you follow what Andrea and I talk about and share. You know, nudity does not equate to sexuality. Be your fully authentic self and embrace it. Never apologize, please. So I love the irony of what we get to balance here, and especially like on the tail of what was shared before. For those of you who are just riding this juicy train of this festival, from sacred union, tantra, and balance, harmony, polarity, into femininity. I mean, oh my God, how blessed am I to be in that space and allow that voice to channel through this building. And she had structure. And the structure is the masculine. The structure is our ability to hold the container so that the feminine can come through, so that we can allow for that creative inspiration, so that we can allow for the voice to be unlocked, so that we can allow for the pleasure to come through. Without the safety and the structure of the masculine, that feminine can't fully surrender into the space to allow that to come through. And one of the desires that I had for this was, we talked to Chelsea over the past few days and went back and forth. And there was a lot of thought about us just hosting something together, like holding a 2-hour window. And I was really clear, even though Andrea and I host a lot of stuff, we facilitate a lot together, that I wanted it to be two separate containers, 2 sacred containers, so that there is an actual visual and kinesthetic response in our body. Those of you who are on here right now, who were here before, you can see a tangible difference. You can get to feel that, to understand the dynamics that we get to do as men and women. Embracing our masculine and our feminine. Andrea, a profound, beautiful, feminine being, creating the structure for her space to come in here so that she can feel safe. Her masculine allowing her to hold that. And here I am about to talk about masculinity. I have no structure. I was literally just doing push-ups and putting pants on before I came in. I was like, I don't want to create any structure because I want to allow the organicness of all of it to come through. So what I get to do as an innately masculine being is I get to infrastructure and create my structure as I go that allows for spirit to come through, that allows for the creativity, that allows for the feminine to flow. And that's really what I want to talk about. And the reason why I wanted so many of you to come on and be like a human and not a card slate. Again, not shaming the card slates. We're all in different places around the world right now. But I want this to be something that we can engage with. I want to hear from you. I want to talk to you. I want to know what is most present. Because I'm seeing a handful of men and a lot of women, and all of us on some level are feeling the same thing on the planet right now. By a show of hands, and if you don't have a physical hand visible, I just want you to type in like yes or agree. Within the past week, how many of you, without really having like something to point to, have felt like an immense amount of rage and anger and frustration? Like no explanation, just something, some trigger, some comment, something, some news article, some meme, some asshole, some car, whatever it was, something just triggered, and all of a sudden it was like all here, present, right in front of you. Within the past week. And within that, how many of you have also felt an extreme amount of hopefulness and joy and excitement and elation and laughter and pleasure and orgasm and bliss? In the same. That duality. That like polar ends of the spectrum. That is what we are being asked of right now at this time on the planet to understand, to cultivate, to hold, to embody, to navigate, to learn how to be with. All of it. Nobody knows what the fuck is going on right now. Trying to understand what is happening and navigating fact from fiction with the information that we're receiving, diving down wormholes of conspiracy theories and 5G projections onto us, and then all of the anti-vax and all of the pro and all of this, and like so much information overload. And nobody knows what's real and what isn't. That has a tangible effect on your nervous system. Just being aware of that, not even digesting it, just being aware that that is out there. 7.777777 billion people on the planet. I probably missed a 7 in there, but sometime last week, all 7s. 7.7 billion people on the planet right now. And the majority of them are feeling this collective shift that is happening. You tap into a collective consciousness that is vibrating at a frequency of fear, of frustration, of anger, of confusion, of distortion. It doesn't matter how grounded you are. It doesn't matter how many days you have been meditating for. It doesn't matter how long you meditate for every day. It doesn't matter how conscious you are, how many Eckhart Tolle books you've read, how many Sounds True podcasts you've listened to. This shit is confusing and it will mess with your nervous system. And that's okay. I want all of you for a minute to close your eyes and take a deep breath in and just sigh out all of the fucking pressure. Like all of that pressure that we need to have everything figured out right now. All of the pressure that we need to be using this time for the most productive avenue that we have. Like who else has had that where they've shamed themselves because they're not doing enough right now? Yeah, if you don't have a video, throw it in the thing. This is a pandemic. This is not a Vipassana. This is not a conscious choice to go into your spiritual retreat and work on yourself. Yeah, this is the universe giving us a swift kick to the side of the face saying, this is your opportunity to get your shit together. Here's the space for you to do the work. But this is not you consciously choosing in this moment. On some level, I believe that we are choosing everything in our life, in our existence. We are the creators of our reality. Everything is a choice. Yes, and we did not choose to have a pandemic in 2020. How many of you New Year's going into 2020, we were like, woohoo, 2020, clear vision, best year of my life. And then January came and we're like, ooh, careful. And then February, and people were like, oh shit, what's happening? Now March, April, May, like that effect on our nervous system, that effect on the neurochemistry of our brain, on how we process information, on how we're storing that somatically in our body. It is okay to be confused right now. It's okay to be frustrated right now. It's okay to cry at some silly meme. It's okay to be brought to tears by watching the Italians sing on their balconies. It's okay to get teary-eyed when you hear all the EMTs and all of the workers outside honking their horns at whatever hour it is that they do that. It's okay to feel frustrated and livid and angry. But this is not the time to take a back seat. And what I mean by that is, no, this is not a Vipassana. This is not your spiritual work to go and you have to be so productive right now. I'm not doing enough 30-day challenges. I haven't done my 15 push-up challenge and tagged 8 friends today. I haven't started a cleanse yet. These 5 friends have all gone vegan in the past week. Should I be going vegan? Am I doing something wrong? This is an opportunity to look at what is present. there is a Lakota prayer that I would like to share that beautifully ties in what I've been feeling to the collective energetic of the planet right now. So if we can all just close our eyes and take a deep breath. Breathe in, hold, and release. Take another deep breath in, hold, and release. I want you with your eyes closed to maintain presence, to continue with mindful, meaningful breaths. If you're preoccupied, if you have other things that are happening around you, that is okay, allow it. But be mindful with your breath, be present with your breath. Without fixating on it, without focusing on it, with allowing it to just exist organically. And feel your heart. Tune into the beat of your life, the rhythm of your drum. Recognize how it continues to beat without asking anything of it. Selflessly keeping you alive just because that is what it does. Your breath, the only thing that you have full control over and do not need to control. What a beautiful gift that we have of this breath. To share our breath, to sync our breath as a collective right now. Breathe in, hold, and gently release. With your eyes closed, allow yourself just to receive this prayer, this Lakota prayer, this blessing. It says, teach me how to trust my heart, my mind, my intuition, my inner knowing, the senses of my body, the blessings of my spirit. Teach me to trust these things so that I may enter my sacred space and love beyond my fear, and thus walk in balance with the passing of each glorious sun. The Lakota referred to the sacred space as the pause between inhalation and exhalation, between this life and the next, between this human experience and spirit. That sacred space is where we are right now as a collective. Recognize that as you breathe in, you don't panic, you don't fear, you don't worry, you don't stress that you will exhale. You know you will. When you're not mindful of it, when you're not present with it, you do not live your life. You do not go through your day in a state of survival because you're afraid of that next breath. And yet one day, one breath will be your last. This sacred space that we are in right now is that pause. And we get to deeply trust that if we do not panic, if we do not succumb to fear, if we do not allow our nervous system to just live in a state of survival, then that exhale will be fluid, will be seamless, will allow the oxygen to flow as opposed to being stressed and panicked. Our ability to do that is our ability to navigate everything that is present. The frustration, the fear, the anger, the pleasure, the excitement, the I'm not doing enough, and the I'm doing too much. Without judgment, all of it is welcome. And we get to trust that our ability to move with it, to understand it, to give it healthy and safe outlets, is how we ensure that we do not panic, is how we ensure that our nervous system is brought back to a state of homeostasis. One more deep breath in and hold. And continue holding and allow yourself to recognize the difference of what it feels like when you're holding and waiting for that breath. When you're tense and anxious and not sure when you will be told you can release, continue holding. Feel your heart rate increase. Feel your circulation increase. Feel the tension increase. Feel that panic place. And without panicking, just gently release. We can control it. We can hold it. We can use it to quantum leap our lives right now. Last inhale in, and as you exhale, gently blink your eyes open, allow light back into the space, allow your awareness to come back into the room. I was struck by lightning last week. For those of you who don't follow me on social media, you can go to my Instagram and see the video. That's the second time that I've been hit with an immense amount of electricity. The first time I was projected across a gazebo in Bali. I was outside and I was so connected to the weather system here in Austin, I could just feel everything that was moving. So much so that I said to Andrea, before, when it was nice and a little windy, I said to her, I said, there's a big storm coming. I just knew. We started eating our food and we heard thunder rolling in, and she said, I want to film something with the thunder. Like, I'm waiting for it. And I said, if you wait 1 minute and 30 seconds, there'll be a roll over here. And wait 3 minutes and 30 seconds, there'll be a crack directly above you. I don't know how I knew, I just knew. And I put my timer on and I put it in between us. And at 1 minute and 30 seconds, there was a roll behind her. And at 3 minutes and 30 seconds, there was a crack right above her. It started raining shortly after, and we came inside. And I went upstairs to work. I went upstairs to create some stuff. And I got a very strong message from Spirit. Spirit, God, Source, universal consciousness, universal love, whatever rings true for you. But my connection with my intuition, with my guidance, said, go be with the storm. So I went downstairs and I was going to get naked and go lie in the grass, as I do. And Spirit was like, nope, stay right here. So I stood in the door frame right there, and I watched, and I had my hand on the side of the door, and I filmed. And within about 15 seconds, and you can see the video on my Instagram, there was a bolt that hit. I'm not sure where the direct hit was, but my hand just lit up. It was like a flint of a lighter, like this big. We live under a tree canopy of 4 massive oak trees. No idea where it came from. All of the trees are totally fine. Our hanging lights, the cord split open and is like completely frayed. My hand lit up and I was hit and I started stumbling back into the house. The last memory I have is of my hand lighting up. And then the next one is of Andrea meeting me in the kitchen. All of this is filmed. I cut it off early because she walks up to me and she's naked. So I had to respect her and the grams. I share this because I believe, as a leader of men, I believe as somebody who has asked and is in the deep inquiry of how to best use this time on the planet, we are being asked to learn how to do that. Not actually be struck by lightning. Please don't go out and try this at home. Lightning in its nature is chaotic. It is chaos energy. Chaos is what has created a lot of what's not working right now on the planet. And it is an energetic frequency that exists in the bandwidth of this planet. Stay with me for a minute and I will answer questions. If I go too etherical, I'll ground it in. There are energy channels that we can tune into the same way we can dial a radio station to our favorite station. For a minute, I invite you all to close your eyes and just feel the frequency of love. Some of you have children with you, or loved ones, or pets. Just feel what it feels like to feel love. That could be a love for yourself. That could be a love for your pleasure. That could be a love for another. That could be a love for just trees, existence, this moment, whatever it is. Just feel what that feels like in your body. It tangibly feels like. Okay. Now feel what joy and excitement feel like. Every single person in this room is thinking of something different right now, but they are all feeling a collective frequency of joy, of excitement. Now feel what anger feels like for a minute. And I would imagine that most of you had a negative association with that feeling. It was associated with pain. It was associated with destruction. It was associated with negative projection onto ourselves. Perhaps we felt it in our solar plexus or our throat. Perhaps we felt it in our heart or our back. It feels a little chaotic. It feels less warm. Now, before we come back, let's go back to the frequency of joy for a minute, because I liked all the smiles. Just feel the frequency of joy. Happiness. The laughter of a small child. I see Catherine's little girl running around and I love it. I invite you to come back into the space. Most of us have never known what to do with that last energy channel. It builds, it builds, it builds, and then all of a sudden the radio station is there and it's just poof, chaos. Destruction. You want to punch something, you want to hit something, you want to scream, you want to rip your clothes off, you want to yell, you want to run down the road, you want to get out of the room, whatever it is. You want to hurt somebody else, you want to hurt yourself, you want to smash something. I've gone through all of those at some point in my life. That energy, that radio station, that frequency, that bandwidth, there is nothing innately wrong with it. It is the association that we have with it. It's because it has been volatile. It's because it has been misused. It's because it has been unintegrated within the masculine. The feminine too. The feminine gets to rage, but it's different. The feminine is the Kali. It's the fire, the ferocity. It's Pele. It's the volcanoes and just that like the earth anger. The masculine anger is unintegrated on the planet in all of us, not just men. Trying to create something with this time. Oh, I'm frustrated. I haven't written this. I haven't done this. I haven't done that. That's your masculine. Procrastinating instead of creating, thinking that you have to create and then shaming yourself for it, that's the unintegrated masculine. At this time on the planet, we get to heal our relationship with the masculine. Men, women, non-gender binary, doesn't matter. Everybody has masculine and feminine, and we get to heal our relationship with the masculine. Women get to heal their relationship with their inner masculine and get to heal their relationship with the masculine men in their lives. Their fathers, their brothers, their ex-partners, their lovers and their abusers. All of that gets to be forgiven through their own process. That doesn't mean that all of a sudden you forgive and forget and everything's okay, clean slate. No, it is a process. Animals in the wild do what humans have forgotten how to do, which is somatic release. If you watch a gazelle in Africa, am I talking too much, by the way? Are you guys still with me? Okay, good. Okay. If you watch a gazelle in Africa just running down the plains, and it gets caught by a lion, the lion drags it back to its den, goes to kill it. Lions don't kill their prey initially. They bring it back to the pride and then they kill it. When it releases it, you'll watch this. There's videos of this. You'll watch a gazelle stand up and run back to its herd. Runs back, and when it's back with its herd, it starts shaking. The other animals will come around it and it will shake. It is somatically releasing the trauma from its DNA. This is why if you're in a car accident, this is why if something happens to you, you get tremors. That is your survival mechanism that is trying to release the trauma from your DNA, kinesthetically from your body. Trauma is stored in our body. If we do not move through it, if we do not remove it, if we do not somatically release it through breath works like Andrea's, through dynamic movement, through shadow boxing, through running, through exercise, through primal screaming, whatever it is, that energy gets stuck, it gets stored, and it becomes that chaos. That chaos exists. We're not getting rid of it, but we get to learn to channel it. We get to learn to harness it. And what this looks like is using this time, using this sacred pause that we are in right now for our personal growth. That doesn't mean it needs to be a lot of pressure. It doesn't need to look a certain way. But deeply knowing yourself, knowing how to move through the emotions, knowing how to be present with the emotions, knowing how to cultivate your masculine energy, knowing how to create safety for yourself so that your feminine can be free. Be fluid and move. Connect to our pleasure, connect to our sensual, our sexual, our creative energy. If we don't release the chaos and integrate it and harness it, we're not going to experience the pleasure. The same way we've experienced the polarity of our emotional experience over the past week, if you want to have the greatest pleasure of your life, if you want to have the greatest orgasm, self-pleasure or partnered or multiple partners, you get to learn how to work with your anger. Like there's a lot of fucking energy in your anger. You know it. Like some of you in here, you can tear someone's head off. I'm looking at you. I see the ones that are smirking. You know it too. But there's probably been times in your life when you've struggled to fully surrender into like having pleasure, to fully surrender into your orgasm, where you put all this pressure on yourself, where you put all this strain. And we get to learn to work with both. Create safe outlets for that chaos energy, for the chaos frequency. And what that looks like is in the times when we are not in our triggers, in the times when we are not deeply wounded and in a state of survival, when the chaos is present, in the times when everything feels great, move it. Somatically release it. It is stored in our DNA, whether you have had trauma in this life or not. As humans, all of us carry this shit from generations upon generations upon generations, some more than others. That's why all of us are feeling it so confusingly right now. That's why so many of us are like, what the fuck? Today was just a day. Today was just a day. I mean, really, all days are just days, but you know what I mean when I say today was just a day. So we get to use this time to implement things that support our growth. If it feels like you just want to rest all day long because your body needs to rest and it's not procrastinating, it's not creating distractions or unintegrated masculine, then rest. If you want to rage, if you just feel angry, go out into the woods, grab a pillow, do whatever you need and just fucking scream. Let it out until your voice is like raw. Actually, let me rephrase that. Don't do it until your voice is raw. Scream from your belly, scream from your genitals, pull it up. But like primal scream, get it out. Allow yourself to move it. Find a pillow, find a heavy bag, find something and literally lie on the ground. Like my computer is not very stable, but I'm going to try this because I love you guys. Lie on the ground. Give yourself something soft. Put pillows next to you. You're going to breathe in. As you breathe in, lift. And as you breathe out, smash your hands down. Create dynamic movement that allows for you to move this energy through. You don't have to worry about the like in, out. You're still moving it, but to be clear, on your back, feet planted, lift your pelvic bone, your hands behind you, you lower and you bring your hands down. You sync it with your breath. Dynamic movement. Put on a song that makes you want to just move your body and don't like dance and flow, just like chaos energy. Let it out. Move it. Surrender to the unknown and know thyself in the known. This is something that came through for me last week after I was struck by lightning. I asked Spirit, I went into a meditation right after it happened. I went and I sat and I said, what message is here? Why was I just struck by lightning? And that was what came through. Surrender to the unknown and know thyself in the known. In every moment, both exist and both are true. And what I mean by that is right now we are all living in the known. You are in your known reality wherever you are. You know what your clothes feel like on your skin, or you know what the air feels like on your skin. You know that you're warm or you're cold or the breeze or whatever the climate is doing. You know whether that is making you comfortable or uncomfortable. You know that you're safe. On some level, in this moment, there is safety around you, whether you're in your home or outside. You feel safe enough to surrender into this screen, into this moment. You know your level of hunger. You know your level of pleasure. You know your level of excitement. That is the known. You know that tonight you're going to go to bed at a certain time. You're going to wake up tomorrow. But tomorrow is the unknown. You can assume what it will be based off of past experiences, based off of general energetics. But you don't really know. You could be struck by lightning. You could wake up and receive a beautiful, beautiful message from someone you haven't heard from in forever. You could wake up and there's been a death in the family. You could wake up and you feel sick. You could wake up in the middle of the night and start purging. That's all the unknown. And in order for us to master our ability to be with the unknown, we get to master ourselves in the known. Surrender to the unknown, know thyself in the known. So that if there is a death, so that if somebody triggers us, so that if something shifts that makes us drop into, that we then drop into a state of survival. When we're triggered, for those of you who aren't aware, so our triggers, our survival mechanism, the way it works, it developed as early humans, as primitive humans, so that we could literally survive. So that if we were out hunting, we were out in the bush and a saber-toothed tiger came out and like jumped out at us, we would know we either run or we fight it, essentially. That was our survival. As we've evolved, there are basic survival triggers that show up. Like if someone, crashes into you, or like something happens and there's an explosion, like we drop into, oh shit, I gotta, like, my primal primitive human is here and can make a decision, or can try to make a decision. But those triggers, our survival mechanism, works in relationship also. In partnership, in work relationships, in relationship with the world. Whether it is something specific that happened, a specific trauma that you know about, that is known, and you know how it affects you, or just being told you weren't good enough, like most of your life. Being told you're too much. How about that one? Like you're told you're too much, you're told you're too much your whole life by your parents. It's not creating one specific trauma, but that registers in our body, in our DNA, that registers the same way as one trauma. Trauma is stored in our DNA. This is the study of epigenetics. Scientists have tracked actual markers in the DNA from Holocaust survivors, people who lived through the actual Holocaust, who were in concentration camps, who saw the atrocities of that firsthand. They then tracked it to their great-grandchildren and saw the same markers in their DNA, who have no intellectual idea of what it even was. It's the study of epigenetics. You can look it up. It is how we inherit trauma. It is how we have this passed down through our system. So men, think of all of the timelines of men on the planet and how they have ruled, how they have possessed, how they have aggressed, how they have been tyrants, how they have raged, how they have pillaged. On some level that lives inside of you. The integration, the embodiment, the consciousness allows for you to not succumb to it, but it still lives inside of you. Women, regardless of where you were raised, how safe you felt, how you were loved by your parents, the enslavement, the subjugation, the being told you were less than, all of that lives in your DNA. And right now we get to heal both. This is not about you did this to me, I feel this way because. This is how can we support one another? And we support one another by learning ourselves, by mastering ourselves, by stepping into the work of deeply, deeply embodying the greatest version of yourself. Without the pressure of it needing to look any certain way. Our ability to master ourselves right now means that in those moments when we're triggered, we can move through it with the insight, with the clarity, with the consciousness that allows us to somatically release it, to intellectually release it, to change the neural pathways in our brain that tell us this is dangerous to I am safe. If we're in partnership now and you were told that you were too much your whole life and your partner says to you, you guys are just triggered, been in a relationship for a while, and your partner says, like in the trigger, like, oh man, you're really too much right now. Whoo, that's gonna set you off. Yeah, they probably shouldn't say that. It's probably not the most conscious thing to do to support the union. And unfortunately, people say stuff. But because that reminded you of being told you weren't good enough, that you were too much your whole life, all of a sudden, you're now in the trigger from 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. So you're furious at them. They said you were too much, but it really has nothing to do with them. And your inability to intellectualize it, your inability to actually communicate and be with it, is because it doesn't matter how much work you've done, how much personal development work, programs, Eckhart Tolle books, Sounds True podcast, all of it, doesn't matter. You are now responding from the conscious awareness of the initial trigger. So if that imprinting was when you were 7 years old, you are now literally in the consciousness of that 7-year-old. That's why it feels so fucking scary. That's why it feels so overwhelming. And yes, in partnership, the 6th love language is learning each other's childhood wounds and triggers. And you get to integrate your own as well. You get to learn to be with your triggers. You get to learn to move through them. You get to learn to ask for what is supportive of you. And you get to do this work of moving that chaos energy before the triggers arise so that when they show up, the feedback loop is less. You're in them less. You're processing them less until one day they're no more. Until one day they're like, you know what? You're really too much. It's like, yeah, I know. And I fucking love it. I love all of me. I love it all. And you love it too. And it's not too much. There will be more. I will show you how much I can be. And you're going to love it too. How is this landing for everyone? I'm seeing my time. I would love to.
This is amazing, Matthew. You are amazing, like fucking amazing. Oh man, what you said about like if you like do nothing or being tired random times and dreams. I woke up one morning dreaming about my dog that had got shot like last year, and I hadn't processed the trauma. And then later that day, Russell Brand posted a video about his dog had died 16 years, and it kind of went in my brain, but it went out again because I wasn't wanting to process it. And then the next night, I was in conversation with a random friend I used to dance with, and just before we finished our conversation, which was her, I was going to employ her to paint a picture on my shamanic drum. And I thought about Suka, but I thought, no, I pushed it out of my head. I thought, no, maybe a fox or a deer or something. Just before our conversation ended, she sent me 2 photos of my dog. And so then suddenly I had to look at her, and I hadn't actually looked at her since she died. And so then I had to face it. So I had to cry, and I spent about 6 or 7 hours crying and like releasing, and I hadn't processed it because so fucking like wow. So thank you.
Can we just try something for a sec? Can you stay with that emotion for a sec? Because something got caught in your throat and you just pushed it aside for a sec.
Yeah.
And this doesn't have to look like anything more than just taking a minute and just being present with what is in your body for a sec. And know that you're safe, know that you have this space, know that everything that you're feeling right now is so welcome. Just be with it for a moment. I want you to feel all of that frustration, all of the fear, all of the sadness, all of the pain. I want you to feel everywhere in your body that you feel it, everywhere that feels as though it's still holding on to this idea that you should have moved on by now, or it's okay that you're upset. Any story that you've created, just be present with all of it without any judgment. And tell yourself, I am safe.
Oh,
I am safe.
yeah, I am. We all are. Wow, my whole body just completely went into like, I feel like, you know, pins and needles. My whole body just got into that, and I feel really like spacey, like, yeah, interesting. Wow, that was pretty intense.
You're safe. Just be with it. And all of it is welcome. You know?
Oh, yeah. I think I've fallen in love with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Our ability to work through stuff, it doesn't have to look a certain way. We get to give ourselves the dignity of our own process. For some people, they can heal from a breakup in a week and truly heal and be like, I'm good. Others, it takes decades. And then one day it's healed. And I believe that there's a lot of not just spiritual bypassing, but spiritual shaming of ourselves that we're doing in this time, where it's like, oh, I haven't looked. Ooh, I know that I saw that thing that triggered a childhood pain, but I don't want to look at it yet. And I know I should, because it's what I should do. No, when you're ready to be with it, you're ready to be with it. When you're ready to move through it, you'll be with it. But our ability to not shame anything, to not create any stories, like, stop shooting all over the place. Does nothing.
Yeah, it was. Do you mind if I add one more thing? Is that okay? Or am I taking too much time?
Please.
Yeah. What was interesting is that when it happened, when I found out about it, the partner I was with couldn't handle my emotion at all. Mm-hmm. He at one point kind of slapped my face just to like slap me out of it in a kind of nice way, but just because he couldn't handle my emotion, and he had to drive me around in the car for like a couple hours. It was so weird. Like he couldn't deal with it. So I actually felt fucking terrible that I felt so bad. It's not fucking crazy just because of him not being able to handle it. Yeah. And then do you know what was fucking beautiful? 3 weeks later, I happened to be living on this farm that I just happened to end up at. And one of the sheep starts having a fit, the sheep that live there. And we are holding the sheep. And Lou said to me, she's going. And I was like, no. And I was like, I remember this feeling of like wanting to hold on to her so she didn't die. And then she just died. She closed her eyes and she died in my arms. And it was so peaceful. And that was one beautiful step towards like healing from this death, because I'd never had a death before. And I saw how gentle and peaceful this dying was, you know? So it's just been this huge journey, and even to this moment now with sharing of coming to terms with death, which in our family, we never came to terms with. My mum lost her dad when she was 3 years old, and my gran never recovered from it, and my mum became mentally ill from it. She lost her mind. And so we've got this whole story from our family of not you know, death being a really horrible thing and not, you know, yeah. So it's ancestral as well, isn't it? It's like family stuff. Anyway, thank you for
Yeah,
hearing me all.
of course. And what I got before you even started sharing about death, when you were just feeling that emotion, the message I received was that you actually get to be the anchor point for your family to really understand death. That you get to be the one that just, by doing nothing more than just being the reflection of understanding that you can be with all of it, that you can be with the process of the pain and the grief, and you can be with the sadness and the frustration, the confusion and the longing and all of that. But it doesn't have to be a scary thing, that it's literally just a transition. You know, the prayer that I shared, the sacred space, that pause is in all things. It's in our breath, it's in our connection with spirit, it's in our transition when we cross over. It is the balance between life and death. And what I received was that, you know, that's really the space that you get to anchor in for your family right now, just to process if something happens in the future. I'm not saying I'm seeing anything happening in the near future, but I'm just, you know, as your family comes into their own awakening and their own process of being in a higher state of consciousness. And this is for everybody, because I would imagine that most of us on this call, there is some type of dissonance with our family right now. Whether it's like, you know, Muggle world, Matrix world, them, us, whatever it is. And we get to do this work on ourselves so that we can be a reflection for those around us, so that we can process our own trauma for our parents. We're not like working through our masculine just for ourselves. Like, I'm working through my father's masculine. I'm working through my grandfather's. I'm working through my mother's. You know, Andrea shared at the beginning of her call, it's like, you know, my mother didn't teach me, my grandmother didn't teach her. We get to, it is a choice. This is why we're here. We get to do this work for our family and with them and be a reflection for them. This is not a dogmatic approach of, we're going to teach you, hey, come over here to the conscious wave, it's much better. No, it's not. It's hard work over here. Like shadow work, navigating your process, like being in your triggers. Like, how much easier was it when there was like an unconscious belief in everything, and it was like, hey, I just don't want to deal with any of this. So much easier. Yeah, and not worth it. Not worth any of it. So we get to deal with this. We get to learn to be with this, not deal with it. We get to learn to be with this, to be a beacon of hope for everybody else, starting with ourselves and then our families, our parents. And it just becomes a ripple. From what I've been tracking, and Chelsea, I'll ping it to you because I know I'm at my time. And I'll share this and then we'll just check in with the group. From what I've been tracking just energetically, what I didn't share about myself before is I'm an intuit as well. And I work a lot in like the energetics of the planet, really. And what I've been feeling is people are fucking waking up fast right now. Like, it is no joke. And that first awakening, that first like entry point coming in the chaos that is here right now, it's not easy. And everyone on this call, you're on this call for a reason. You are here because there was some call to be here, some calling to be here. Whether you just stayed through or you're like, I want to hear what he has to say. You're here because you get to be a reflection for everybody in your life. Polish your mirror. Polish your mirror by deeply understanding yourself and why you show up the way you do. Follow your most authentic desires. What do you want to be experiencing in this time? That which is in alignment with your soul's purpose will just show up, will be a magnet to you when you come in alignment. Follow your desires. That then ripples out into everything. We have 53 people on the call right here. Let's say we just affect one person within the next week. And then double that, 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 and then double that. We have the numbers. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm hearing. Do not lose faith. Do not give up. Do not shame. Ask for help. Reach out for support. Do the work right now. Use this time. Invest in yourself. That could look like a book. That could look like a podcast. That could look like a group coaching program. That could look like these festivals. That could look like whatever it is for you. Do the work now. And give yourself rest. Be in pleasure. Be in joy. Be in excitement. Dance, move, get naked in the sun. Welcome all of it. The shift is happening. And we cannot doubt ourselves. We cannot doubt that it's working. We just need to trust. We need to continue to trust. Teach me how to trust my heart, my mind, my intuition, my inner knowing, the senses of my body. We trust right now. We trust that it is all working for us and with us. So,
Matthew, thank you. Thank you. Will you guys all take yourselves off mute and just give Matthew some love and gratitude for being here?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was great.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Way to bring it, Matthew.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. That was amazing.
Cool.
yeah, I would love to share.
Thank you.
I have, you can reach me at the Healing Mat on Instagram, at Matthew Ayriss on Facebook. I'll put it in here. That's Facebook. MatthewAyriss.com is my main website. I have a men's group coaching program called The Pillar, Masculine, Sexual, and Emotional Mastery, where I'm taking men through a 12-week process. Edward is in the program right now, who's a brother who's on the call right now. That is me, Michael. And if you are interested, if you have men in your life that are interested, please send them my way. If you use CAREona in the application, they will receive $100 off. If you want to stay in touch with me, Instagram, Facebook. I also just opened up 2 spaces for one-on-one coaching clients. So you can fill out an application on my website, MatthewAyriss.com. I'm a healer. I'm an intuit. I do healing sessions and remote sessions to really work with the ancestral trauma, to work with the DNA, to work with reprogramming and changing the neural pathways. There's a lot that I share out into the world, and without just dumping all of that into the end, I know we're out of time. There's a little bit of space that I wanted to just open it up for maybe like 10 minutes of Q&A for those who are able to, if that flows with Chelsea and Caroline.
And I'm going to stop the recording right here. Actually, maybe I'll just keep it going. But for anyone who wants to take a break, we have a 2-hour break. We're going to be coming back at, let's see, 5:30, 6:30, 7:30. Okay, 2.5 hours we'll be back. So whatever time zone that is for you. And we're going to be doing tantric breath work. And then we're going to have the founders of Alaya Tantra School doing an incredible, like, they've changed my life. So I would just go to that one for sure. And then after that, Layla Kadri, I think that's how you say her last name. She lives in Bali. She's incredible. She's going to do an embodiment type of.
Lila.
What was that?
Lila.
Lila. Layla.
Lila.
Lila. Well, I've known her for 2 years and I've been calling her Layla every time.
One of us is wrong.
Amazing. Well, we got that whole thing on camera. Whichever it is, I love you if you watch this. Yeah, Yeah, so just, and we'll leave this open. And Matt, you have the floor for a couple minutes. You can use as much time as you want. I'm going to take my camera off and do a few things, and then I will be back. Amazing.
Beautiful. So I would love to, the Lakota prayer does not have a name. If you just search like Lakota prayer, teach me how to trust, it'll show up for Christina who popped in. I'll also send the screenshot to Chelsea and she can share it with the email group with Caroline. Yeah. So I would love to just toss it out. If anyone has any questions, if anything came up, if anything was processed, we'll do like 10 minutes.
If you don't mind, I have something to say. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
How do I say your name? Ali?
Aaliyah.
Aaliyah.
Yeah. So it was actually really beautiful when you were saying now is the time to work on empowering ourselves and being that mirror, because just earlier this week I had my birth chart read and she was saying that that my main job in this life is to fully master myself, and through that to help people master themselves and owning that embodiment. And it's just like it keeps coming back this whole entire week, and it's just like, okay, universe, I understand. So it's just coming all back, and yeah, I just can't play small. I need to step into my power and help people and help shift this consciousness, because that was also something, you know, for now, helping people shift this paradigm, and through that, and it's just all so beautifully lined up.
What does stepping into your power look like for you?
Trusting myself mostly, and just fully loving myself for every experience that I've gone through, and seeing the lesson and knowing that there is a reason behind that, to just help other people uplift their vibes and their consciousness as well. You know, I actually grew up in a very religious family, and I was quote unquote the black sheep. And I slowly, actually as a kid, I just started shifting, like being like, I can't go to church. This doesn't resonate. This doesn't feel good to me. Like I can't be in this forced structure. And now within the past 5 years, my whole family has come to this opening. And like, I am convinced it is through a little bit of like me saying no and showing that example and the possibilities and the cutting those limitations and not saying I'm all and I'm just going to do what everybody tells me to do, but doing what feels good for myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's important to note that our ability, our internal compass, and our ability to make those decisions of what feels good to myself, we get to base that off of our like moral barometer. Mm-hmm. Meaning like there's a lot of decisions that we can make that feel good to ourselves that cause harm.
Right.
Like I'm fairly certain there's a lot of people on the planet right now who, whether it's Bill Gates or Trump, who truly believes that like he's making decisions for himself and causing a lot of harm. And that's the work. That's the balance. Is like, where is the barometer? Where's the moral barometer? Because at the end of the day, it's all just preference. Right. Like I have a preference of how I want to see the world. Mm-hmm. So does Trump. Neither one of us is wrong.
Right.
He's perfectly entitled to his preference, whether I agree with it or not. He's entitled to his preference. Mm-hmm. The fact that he has more like power, you know, and the fairness and the scale of that, that's another story. But the preference. So our ability to, like, when it comes to especially like healing the ancestral trauma within our family and within our lineage, we get to release the idea that their healing, their process needs to look anything like ours.
Yeah.
And that's such a delicate game, because we know what worked for us, and that's all we can really share.
Right.
Like I coach, I work with individuals based off of what has worked for me.
Right.
And I share from that, and I can give reflections of what might work for you, but I don't know. Nobody knows what works for you but you.
Right.
And for so long, I was in the dance of like, trying to support my father in coming to a deeper understanding of all of his wounding and beliefs and everything. And then I was like, wait, but that might look entirely different. Like my path looked like my path because he was my father, but his father was different.
Right.
So yeah, just really like polishing that mirror, being that like best version of yourself for you without doing harm to others.
Right. When you step into your own power and other people see that, it makes them almost want to be empowered themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they're, another big thing was bringing that balance. And she was like, you work on that balance.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just
beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for the work that you're doing. We can do 2 more.
Hi, Matthew.
Hi, Lonnie.
Hi. I've been working with my masculine a lot because I have a lot of control issues, and I always thought that I have to be less masculine and more feminine, but you really opened my eyes today that it's more of me controlling, is me trying to repress my masculine instead of put it into a stable place where my feminine feels comfortable to come in. So thank you so much for that. And all of your ancestral stuff really resonates. Like I'm releasing a lot of guilt and shame, and I always feel like I should be doing something. I shouldn't be doing something. It's like a daily process that I go through, trying to release all these shoulds and like just let myself be and be authentic to myself. And yeah, definitely with like the triggers and emotional responses, that's been challenging for sure.
Yeah, that's why I like to say, I don't think anyone really heard it. I find myself hilarious, but that's why I say, don't should all over the place. It's like, stop shitting all over the place. Like really every time we should, we're shitting on ourselves. Like there's a version of like, because even when we think we should, us saying we should be doing that should, even if that should is based off of what you perceive to be the best timeline for yourself, is limiting in your belief in what is possible for yourself. For you to manifest your dream life to a T, if you were to sit down and take the next year to write out a book of every day that you wanted to live, the perfect day, every single day, the pleasure, the excitement, the gold, the treasures, the pirates, whatever it is, like if you could just write everything, dragons, all of it, everything, you're still limiting yourself because that is based off of your awareness of what you think is possible for you to achieve. So the way that we manifest the greatest life for ourselves, the way that we allow ourselves to step into the purest alignment, is instead of saying, what do we want it to look like? It's asking ourselves, what emotional experience do we want to have at the end of the day? When we're sitting there with that last breath and we're looking back at our life, what emotional experience do we want that moment to elicit within us? Pleasure, joy, excitement, happiness, or sadness, remorse, pain, fear, frustration? And in every moment of the known, holding the frequency of that, of the joy. That's why I said, what is the feeling of joy? Follow that as your highest excitement. And sometimes it'll feel like sadness, and that's okay. You're still following the breadcrumbs of joy because you're letting yourself feel the sadness so that you have the counter that you can feel of the joy. One can't exist without the other.
That's so true. And I think a lot of people in the spiritual community just forget about that and focus on manifesting and like with their own control rather than allowing. And that's really beautiful. Do you have any advice for releasing control and like the need for control?
I mean, everything is out of our control. So I would ask yourself, you know, what is it at the end of the day that you're looking for within, like, you know, Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Like, are you looking for safety? Are you looking for shelter? Like, what is it that you're trying to control in that? And then go back and trace. Like, if you're looking for safety, if you're trying to control a relationship because that relationship gives you safety, and that safety gives you stability, and that stability gives you security, and that security gives you protection, and that protection makes you feel as though you can be yourself. Go back into that time in your childhood where you didn't feel safe, that time where you thought that your safety could only come through partnership, and go further back. This is part of the work that I do, and it's a lot more like complex to go layer by layer, but yeah, just really start, you know, asking yourself what it is that you're holding on to, not necessarily the thing, but what is the belief beneath that.
Thank you so much. This call really resonated with me on so many levels, and you really opened my eyes to change my perspective and understand my own masculine energy and let it flow and just be. So thank you so much. I appreciate everything you're doing and this call so much. Thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. I think Michael wanted.
Yeah, I had a quick comment. I've really just been blown away with the session from first with your partner, with the session she led before, and then you coming in. Then your energies are so dynamically divergent. You're so much of a dude, right? I mean, I'm really connecting with you on a very masculine level, the things you're saying and the fight or flight. And so a couple of comments. First of all, when you asked us have we been triggered this week, I was like, oh no, I haven't been triggered. But wait a minute, yes I was. And I'll just put this out there, but I'm really frustrated in a way that maybe this COVID is, as much as it is dangerous to many people, that it's overblown and we're maybe like being manipulated by the situation, and that's like kind of got me angry. To then just totally just drop that and move on to the next thing. The one thing I've had great difficulty with in my life is actually describing what my future dreams are going to look like. What does the perfect world look like to me? It's like I have no freaking idea, because like I'm in the moment so much that whatever comes, I'm usually ecstatic about it, or you know, this is what I'd love to be. Right now, it's like the best thing ever, and so it's like been really interesting for me. It's like try to like chart out a goal path of things I want to achieve with the rest of my life. It's like it's really difficult for me, and I'll just kind of, I don't want to take too much more time. It's already been an amazing session, but just your thoughts and comments on those two things.
Yeah, firstly, and then I'll close it out because I know Andrea has to come back in here. This is our sacred space, and she has a call in 9 minutes. So I'll close it out in 5. But the frustration around COVID, what if we're being manipulated? 100%. I've gone there. And what if we're not?
Right. Yep.
So it's perfectly acceptable to feel angry and frustrated, but right now there's so much distorted information that nobody really knows. So all we can do is maintain vigilance, like be aware of like manipulation, be aware of what we're consuming, be aware of the information that we're taking in and how it's affecting our nervous system, and just remain in a state of like, how can I take care of myself the best right now? And then the second thing around like manifesting your future, exactly what I said before, like don't worry about what it needs to look like right now. Focus on the emotion that you want it to elicit. Like change happens on an emotional level. We go to a movie because we want to have an emotional experience. We go to a play, we read a book, we paint a picture because it evokes emotion within us, and change happens from that. We can go and see a movie, we have an experience, and then change our lives. As a kid, you know, there's probably, I would say maybe I'm making this statistic up entirely, but probably pretty true. Probably 70% of astronauts saw a movie when they were a kid, and they were like, I want to be an astronaut. They had an emotional experience, and that created change in their life. So our ability to create change in our life is a direct result of our ability to hold the emotional frequency that we want to live our life in.
You
And
answered my question. That's perfect.
good.
Yes.
I could do this a lot longer. I have a community that I started called Earth Tribe. If there's enough of a desire for it, I will do another one within the week. If you go to my website, I'll drop everything again here. If you go to my website, my main website, you can sign up for my email list, MatthewAyriss.com. You can sign up for my email list. I'll send out an email this week if there's enough interest. Earth Tribe is a group that I did similar to this. It's just hosting a Zoom where I'll bring stuff through. Again, themasculinepillar.com, my men's program. Any men out there, I would love to have you in it. Women, if you have men in your life, I also have healing sessions and one-on-one work. And this was just so fun. Thank you all so very much. I greatly appreciate the space and all of your beautiful faces.
Thank you,
Matthew. It was amazing.
You're so welcome.
Great talk. Thank you.
And you guys